Hello, and welcome to This Conversation Matters, a weekly show about the social issues shaping our communities, from race and inequality to justice, economic opportunity, and overall well-being. I'm Cherie Curry. Each week, I speak with experts and people with lived experience to help you better understand why these issues matter in our lives.
We get asked all the time, I have a 3-year-old, like, how can I make a channel for them? And my words back always are, 1, 3 is very young. I know our children were 3, the girls were 3, but there was something different about them. They weren't shy in front of the camera at all. They just sat and they just talked. They were themselves. So if you're going to try and force your 3-year-old to sit down and record content and you're fighting and struggling with it, then don't do it. Be authentic to who your child is. Your child has to naturally gravitate towards talking to people, talking in general, being open in front of the camera. And that's not always the case. And we find that sometimes the parent is nudging harder than need be, and it will translate onto the camera. You may think people can't see, well, they can see when a child is bored and like, oh, I don't really want to be here, and those type of things. You can see it, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth the push. If it's not natural, if it's not something that your child is maybe even asking about, just don't push it,
That's McClure. She and her husband Justin have built a social media empire with their twin daughters Alexis and Ava and their son Jersey. They have amassed nearly 1 billion views across multiple social media platforms since 2017. The twins were 3 years old when one of their family videos went viral. They turned 13 this month, July 2026. Their dad, Justin, says 10 years ago, social media was not as toxic as it is today. They do their best to keep their content wholesome. It's the family business, Justin says. He likens it to the work he had to do growing up on a family farm. Everyone does their part to keep the business going. I spoke about the positive side of social media with Ami and Justin a couple of years ago, along with several other families, including Shaletta Brundage of ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. Today's This Conversation Matters highlights my conversation with the McClures and another parent, Angela Gilchrist, whose children are consumers and are not in the content creation business. Globally, there are more than 50 million digital content creators serving more than 5 billion users. The market is valued between $41 billion and $42.7 billion, with projections expecting the market to more than triple by 2035. The family is one of those who sees the benefits of growing a family business on YouTube and Instagram, and they have some advice for you. I'm looking to talk about the positive side of how we can use social media to educate our children, educate others, as well as, and then our kids are a part of that, I think, in terms of like being able to grow a channel. So if we were to look at aspects of, let's say, like Kim Kardashian and Northwest. So there's positive to me that comes out of that. Then there's the people who say, do we need 10-year-olds, talking about face cream? So I kind of want to do here's the positive. And like another family that I spoke to with a much smaller following than yours, but her 3 boys and a daughter, and they use it to talk about autism spectrum because her kids on the autism spectrum. So I'm kind of going that route in terms of the positive that we can kind of get out of the use. And since your twins started young on this, all your kids did, but the twins were the first with this. So if you can kind of talk a little bit about maybe the growth of how you've seen the growth around social media and for your family and the positives come out of it, from what was it like several years ago to what it's like now in terms of the response and the feedback that you get and the impact on your family.
Well, I'll start if you want anything more direct, and just ask the direct question. Things were different, I think, when we started in 2017. They were not as toxic. Now social media is a very toxic place. People only want to kind of promote things that are very negative and harmful. That really wasn't the case in 2017. People were, we got into it very naive. I did. I thought it could be a positive place. I thought I could be very cinematic. I thought I could, do these feel good videos, not realizing that what I've always said is that people don't want to see a kid learning how to ride a bike. They want to see a kid falling off a bike. And I didn't know that when I started. I thought it was like, oh, we're going to teach kids how to ride a bike, metaphorically, and then we're going to do well. And we quickly realized that people really wanted to see drama, or they engage more with drama than anything else. So it was a big learning curve for us. But over the years, I think it's just gotten way more toxic. We shield our kids from that by we don't let them watch it. They don't really participate in social media. They watch YouTube, but other than that, they don't watch TikTok. They don't engage in their own comments. We let our kids be kids and have a normal childhood, because I feel that maybe I'm an old school dad, but they need to get outside and they need to, be bored sometimes. They need to, not have anything to do, and they need to problem solve. So, that's my initial answer to that.
Perfect. You have anything to add, Ami?
I think that, you had mentioned Kim Kardashian and Northwest and how they're doing content together, and, the TikTok and all the other stuff. I think what's also changed is that kids of Northwest age have interest in social media, but, in different ways, because they like to have the camera showing themselves do the skincare. This, our girls do that. They record on their own iPad. We don't put it on TikTok and other things like that, but they do the same things. It's just the age is what they do. I don't have a problem with that. I think that the biggest thing is controlling what they view and controlling what you put out of your children. I think it's a place where sometimes people say, well, why does your child have an account or this and that? Well, because one, we did start one, but also they do enjoy making content. It's entertainment. It's like being an actress in your own home, in your own self-contained ecosystem. So they've always had, we've gone through times of wanting to stop, not do it anymore. And they're always like, no, we still want our YouTube channel, those type of things. So it's really interesting the time that we're in, that children of this age, like they want to do this stuff.
Yeah. And when I think too, when you think about this age group and from the different parents that I've talked to at different stages of this process, right? The parents are in control of the account. And I think even Kim Kardashian would say that, in control of the account. So like you just said, and I like that example of the kids might be recording their own thing on iPad, but you're picking and choosing what you want to add in. So how important is that then for parents to still be the ones, in control, even if it has the kid's name on it, for the parents to be in control?
Here, let me give you, my son just tried to get an approval to watch more. Can't really see it, I guess it's the light. But basically, he tried to get more approval to watch more YouTube and stuff, and we give him a limit on the thing, So I denied it. You can find something else to do. So I think I don't know what I'm trying to think of the question, but basically, there's a real-time example of we really control their time by saying during the week you get a certain amount of time. If you exceed that time, then that's it. If you want to earn more time, then pick up a book, do a chore. Tell us how you want to earn more time on the device, because you only get a certain amount of time, and that's not really negotiable unless you earn more.
I like that example. That's a good tip that we can give to.
And so, by the way, just to be specific, inside the Apple, there's a family thing, and you can go in there. Anyhow, you can go in there and you can tell them what their limits are on games and stuff like that, and 1 hour a day or whatever, and then it just shuts off. So we do that for all of our kids.
Okay. Is that what app is that, like a separate app? Is that like an app that comes with the phone?
I was trying to show you.
It's native in Apple.
Native to Apple. Okay.
Yeah, because you might, I know as a journalist, you want to get very specific, but so you can say that the McClure family uses the family plan inside of Apple to control the kids' screen time.
Okay.
And for instance, like there's some things that are healthy, like they used to listen. I'll give you an example. They used to listen to YouTube going to bed. Well, going to bed, that would be a 10-hour thing. If I allowed YouTube 10 hours a day, well, then I got to allow them to listen to it at night because they listen to a little nursery jingle. So instead, we found a dedicated app that was kind of sleep oriented and is healthier. And we allow that app at any point, and we limit YouTube.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And in terms of, we want to talk a little bit about some of the comments we've said, because that has changed since 2017. I don't know if the comments on your own site or just what you've seen out there and other social media or both. Has that changed?
I will say that it's changed for us, both in a positive and sometimes in a negative. So let's say when we started in 2017, 2018, things were still very new with social media in the way of people making income and family vlogging, family content, kid content. Things were still somewhat new in that era. And people would make comments like, you're just using your kids for views and you're using your kids to get yourself popular and this type of thing, until I think people realized, like, no one even knew who I was for the longest because I didn't put myself on their page. It wasn't for me at all. That they were the ones doing it. Even till this day, we very rarely show up on their page because it's their page. I truly believe it's their page. I'm not trying to garner anything off of their page. This is an archive of even their life for them at some point. So now I think because of the widespread use and the number of people creating content, the number of children creating content, the number of families creating content, it's just a thing. No one says anything. No one has anything to say about it because now it's become the norm. When we started, it was not the norm. There were very few people, and I think there were harder judgments on people. Now, I mean, anybody will go follow a kid that think it's funny. Like it's not even a thought to people now. So I find that really interesting and kind of funny because now people are purposely trying to make content of their kids or put their kids up on something and make them, a model or make them give them a niche in the kid content. So it's really interesting how that has really shifted from when we started until now. And we've always had the positive comments as well. And there's people who absolutely love the girls, they love the family, they love the content we make. They're happy to watch us progress as a family, watch the girls grow up, those type of things. So that's always nice to see.
I think for the most part, we have very positive comments. There's really nothing negative you can say. I mean, we think we're good parents. We got good kids. There's really nothing bad to say, I don't think. So over the years, you just learn to kind of ignore the stuff that, like I tell everyone, some people show up to the party to complain. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a good party or bad party. That person showed up to complain. Some people show up in the comments to complain. They had a bad day. They showed up to automatically, be negative.
Yeah. And I know one thing too, when I think about the growth and the positive that can come out of it. When I think about like my side from, teaching at the university, where the whole debate about AI and whatever else, like it's not going away, right? We have to find a way to embrace it. We have to find a way to implement it in a way that's going to work for all of us. Yeah. And so I feel the same way, with social media in terms of, so like the people like yourselves who are doing, more positive stuff. And even if some of it, I'm gonna say it's like mundane, everyday life that everybody can kind of be doing, which is a little bit different than the people who are staging. Like if I use your example, just in the falling off a bike, they're staging those things for the views. And I can understand if I think about it as an individual, hey, if that's getting them more views, because I get them more money, everybody needs their money to live. So that's one aspect of it. But when we can I come from a family of educators. So if we can find a way to find an education aspect out of it. So what, in terms of, I'm trying to think of like other advice that you might give to other.
Let me speak about like the education aspect, because I always mention this, that, it's a very positive thing for our girls and for our family in general. When I grew up in North Georgia. I grew up on like a farm type, very rural setting, and I had to milk cows. I had to go gather the pigs. I had to walk the dogs. I had to build fences. None of that was any fun, and I got paid nothing, and I was 8 years old. But I did learn discipline. I learned how to work hard. I learned how to stay outside the cold and do things when I was told. So our girls, they work, But yes, it's way more enjoyable. And I tell them all the time that if they were not participating in our family business, they would be doing something else that would not be as enjoyable to them. They would be doing chores, or they were doing other things that they don't have to do because they are working in a business, and they show up on time. They come with ideas. They're accountable. They're disciplined. They learn how to be to be quiet when they're supposed to be quiet. So all these different things that you need to learn that you will not be taught in school.
Yeah.
All these things that you will not be taught in school, like they are taught here early on, so that they can really learn how to problem solve, and really the skill that they need is to learn how to work hard.
Yeah. I'll give an example. My youngest son was never really interested in social media outside of YouTube, watching 30-year-olds play video games. That's kind of his thing. But when I look at that, and sometimes I want to tell him, like, I want him to use it in a different way, because I think life can kind of pass him by. I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
it's like when he gets into the real working world, there's gonna be a generation of people who are used to talking to the camera, being able to get up. It's gonna translate into being able to give good presentations. Whatever. He's not gonna have that skill.
Yeah.
And he could learn it. Obviously, I didn't grow up with it. We learned it. So I'm just trying to think, what other kind of tip that's on the positive side that you would give to families?
I think if someone is getting into this field or thinking about it, and we get asked all the time, I have a 3-year-old, like, how can I make a channel for them? And I think they're funny and this type of stuff. And my words back always are, 1, 3 is very young. I know our children were 3, the girls were 3, but there was something different about them. They weren't shy in front of the camera at all. Everyone could see, like, they just sat and they just talked. They were themselves. So yeah. So if you're going to try and force your 3-year-old to sit down and record content, and you're fighting and struggling with it, then don't do it. Be authentic to who your child is. Your child has to naturally gravitate towards talking to people, talking in general, being open in themselves in front of the camera. And that's not always the case. And we find that sometimes the parent is nudging harder than need be. And I tell them it will translate onto the camera. You may think people can't see, well, they can see when a child is bored and like, oh, I don't really want to be here, and those type of things. You can see it. And it's just not worth it. It's not worth the push. If it's not natural, if it's not something that your child is maybe even asking about, just don't push it.
There's a lot of football dads on, meaning that, a dad used to, you're going to play football because I want you to play football. Now there's a lot of parents that are like, you're going to do this because I want you to. And that's not the case for us. It's quite the opposite. We got into the whole thing being just very wholesome, like wanting to document things. We had no idea. I mean, I both had great jobs. We had no idea what we were doing, or that there was even I assume we didn't even know there was a way that you could make it. Next thing you know, like it just kind of took off on its own. And we said to ourselves, we got to figure out what to do with all this. Whereas a lot of people go into it, they think they have a cute kid. They think they have a smart kid. So they're like, I want to do this for my child, but your child just wants to sit over there and play Legos.
Okay, thank you. Now, what about your backstory, what you want? And I know you've been written up about a lot in other publications. So, but we talk about 3 years old when the twins started. So can you kind of run me through the parts that you want to share in terms of?
Well, you can share the truth. The truth is that we were just making wholesome stuff, like going to the park, petting geese, learning how to ride a bike, etc. And then we knew there'd be a moment when the twins realized they were twins, and that moment happened to be magical, where one realized that one was older, and the one that was older realized she was shorter, and so the whole thing,
video. Yeah.
So that got us 100,000 subscribers overnight. And next thing you know, we had people wanting more, and like we didn't even know what we're doing. So the beautiful story there is that me, as a person who's built on achievement, I learned to edit at night, and YouTube and social media and digital marketing while I went to a job during the day. So I learned how to build a business. So my daughters didn't build this business. I did. My wife did. So they're the entertainers, but we built this, and we didn't use our kids. We didn't exploit them. We built this thing, and now our kids are very healthy. They're very happy. They're very well behaved. And, we're very proud of the mark that we've made by being positive and a very entertaining family. But outside of that, I mean, the truth is that that's really pretty much encompasses most things.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's pretty much how everything went with us. It was not an intentional, let's create a channel. We didn't even have a YouTube channel when that video went viral. We didn't have any of that stuff. We ran behind and created it because people were like clamoring for things. So it really was unintentional, and I'm glad it happened that way. I think it was just more natural for us. There was no pressure on it. We weren't thinking, okay, we got to hurry up and make sure this gets big and makes it. It was just, it was fun. It was definitely fun. Sitting down with the girls and talking to them was, amazing. They have all that to look back on, all the things that they've said and things like that. So it was really, really a fun and loose time. Still is. I think the climate of social media has changed some, but we try and remain doing the things that we've always been doing and trying to just remain the same people.
I think something important is knowing that we've made thousands of videos. When we're older and the kids are older, we will look back and not be ashamed of any one of those. Whereas I think a lot of people, they cannot say that. If I would question that, because most of the stuff that I see, a lot of the stuff that I see that families are doing, when your child is 22 years old, they're going to dislike you if they know that that's up there. And you hear about all these other families, and there was that one family with the kid malnourished and all these other things. Is that a lot of these people are really not treating their kids the way they should, and these kids grow up to pretty much hate you. And so we feel very good about knowing that we've created a great childhood for our children. And when they get older, they're going to look back at these videos and say, "Oh my gosh, this is my yearbook. The modern day yearbook. This is my childhood, and I remember that, and I had a great time in my childhood."
Thank you. I appreciate that. And how many channels do you have now across, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube? Your eyes. A lot.
We have 2 YouTube channels. They're about 5 million. We have 2 Facebook, 5 million. We have.
Don't say 2 Facebook. We have our individual Facebook.
No, I'm saying total, whatever. It's more than that. But Instagram, we have probably collectively about 5 million.
Saying how many accounts do we have?
Yeah, the number, but I also like the maybe you can put that in an email for me if that would be easier.
The individual of each one.
Yeah, so that I know what the social handles are. I mainly watch your YouTube channel because I'm not a big Instagram user. I think I get like 37 people that I follow and maybe 12 follow me or something. So, but I use it to watch things, but I'm more of the YouTube. I'm old school. Hey, what can I say? So yeah, that'd be great. You get to kind of know the amount, and then and so you think you kind of grew overnight, the one when they were like almost in tears, right? That she's older than I am, but I'm taller. She's that's the one that kind of made the difference.
Well, that was the first home run, and then
sparked it.
Then we had other home runs after that, but that was definitely the first one. But after that, it was more based on other great moments of storytelling, or as a YouTuber, just figuring out what is a good story to tell, and some of those did very well as well.
Okay. Anything in terms of body image or fashion, anything like that in terms of how you think social media impacts our children and your children?
I think for me, it may be a little different than for him, but I'm a mom of 3 kids, but I'm also a person individually and a human being. And I strongly stress that. And even to my girls and my son, like, I don't believe in quote unquote mom attire, or you should change your whole self now that you've had children. I just don't believe that's the way to be, because you're also teaching your kids, hey, once you have that kid, it's over for you. Forget about who you were. And that's just not the example that I want to set. At one point I heard the girls say they never want to have kids. It's just so hard. Because you do see that people will forget about themselves and they don't have time for themselves. Now, you never do this. And if you're a child and you're looking at that the first thing you're going to be like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want that. So I'm very much in the opposite way of I'm going to be myself, dress as I want to dress, take care of myself, be fashionable. I think it's small but important for children, especially little girls, to see that life's not over once you have kids. And I hate that theory. I hate that example that sometimes people put out there. Yes, obviously you sacrifice a lot once you have children. You may not be able to just get up and go have dinner with your friends tonight. Those type of things. Sure, that's real life. But who you are as a person doesn't have to end. So that's just something I feel pretty strongly about. And I teach them confidence in that as well. So make sure that they don't have questions about their own self, their self-worth, their body as they're growing and things like that.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate your getting back to me and doing this. And I know it's late your time. So
Thank you.
Thanks for thinking of it, Cherie. Is it Cherie or Sherry?
Cherie, it's Cherie.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Now we'll hear from Angela Gilchrist.
My daughter, she's more interested in Snapchat than my son, who thinks it's fun, but because he gets bored with it more quickly. My son is very, very passionate about airplanes, particularly like commercial passenger airplanes right now.
Okay.
And so he follows a couple of YouTubers who what they post about are like airplanes. And maybe it's an airplane incident, like an accident or a crash, but often it's just like, what kind of airplanes are there and how many people fit on them and what are the engineering challenges. And so there's one guy that he followed built in his house out of cardboard a model airport.
Wow.
With like airplane toys. And so this YouTuber said, okay, all my followers, I want to see your airports. And so my son has built 2 cardboard airports in our house. So this is kind of translating that virtual thing into like real life thing. And so it was great because he's learning all kinds of things about like construction and 3D stuff and all kinds of things he's learning.
So yeah, so with the plays and learning construction, so it's a positive because it's getting him interested. Yeah.
I think so because he designed the airport and he had the vision for it in his head. But my daughter has more patience for artistic pieces, and so they worked together. So they're also learning teamwork and collaboration.
Okay.
They worked together to actually decorate it. So he cut out the cardboard and designed the buildings and the runways and all that kind of stuff, and where the planes park on cardboard tarmac. But then he said, okay, I want runway lines or parking space lines or gate numbers. And so she used her art pens and paints to paint gate numbers and windows on the terminal and people looking out the windows on the terminal,
Oh, okay. Great.
together. So there was the artistic element, a collaboration element, a 3D like structural problem solving element. Yeah, they're taking project management, they're taking a vision and making it come, true. And so I think for me, it was been really positive. And so some have been positives, but there have been negatives too, which I can talk.
Yep. Yes. Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay. My daughter follows more pop culture fashion.
Okay.
And so some of the ones that we've seen her find over or both kids find over the years have maybe not had the best tone, like the YouTube channels haven't had the best tone, or like how the people on the channel solve problems and talk to each other. I find disrespectful and not good role model.
Okay.
So what my husband and I, we try not to block channels for them, but we have. Like there have been some channels where like these are inappropriate and that will block them.
Mm-hmm.
But we try instead to say, you know what? Okay, this isn't how, regular average people would treat each other or how they would act. Or, like some of the YouTubers have crazy amounts of money. And so then they get in their heads like, oh, well. So on the one hand, but what I be able to positive to that is we get to have some conversations with them that are really helpful. Well, they're young and maybe still listening to us more than they might as late teens or young adults in their 20s. Is we get to talk about, well, what these are our values and our opinions about that, and what we do like and don't like about what they're seeing on YouTube. But there have been times where it's gotten some of the channels just seem too, like, we decided to block them. My daughter will often see things on there and want them, or my son will be like, well, we want to go on an epic vacation like these people. And like, we can't, do that all the time. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then let's say with the fashion one for your daughter, has it impacted something like what she may want to wear, what facial cream, whatever.
Yeah, I have a good example of that. So she's not so much into like the specific creams or
Mhm.
makeup products. Um, actually, well, that's not true. I will give one example. She's very into painting her nails, and
Okay.
so she does get a lot of examples from YouTube on how to paint different patterns on her nails and
Okay.
want those colors. So that's a specific thing. And then because just her general interest in fashion, she would watch like, um, New York Fashion Week or something like that. And what that translated into real life recently, she said, "Hey, Mom, I want to see if I can get involved in Fashion Week Minnesota." I helped her make a real life model card, and we went to the open model call, can walk and try out to be a model
Mhm.
during Fashion Week shows. She did not get chosen, but that was like something she was interested in trying that I believe her YouTube channels inspired.
Okay. And you homeschool, right? So that makes it maybe a difference to and how some parents, talk about how their children are influenced by what they see other children do in school as well. So
Yes, I think that's a good point because we're a pretty high technology family.
Mhm.
And I'm fine with that because I think as they get to be adults, that with AI is going to be even more ubiquitous. And so I feel like teaching them how to use it wisely and with balance is something I care about while they're young. But I think if they were in school, it would be different because they do spend quite a bit of time with their devices and YouTube and different, things on their iPads. But um, they also spend a huge amount of time outside or outdoors. They have a pretty good balance.
okay.
School kids, if they spend as much time as our kids, wouldn't have a bit of balance because there's so many hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. I love that. I love that. Right. Right. Well,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you so much for participating. And thanks for giving me the call too. I appreciate it.
Of course, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
care.
Bye bye.
Thanks for listening today. I'm Cherie Curry, and this has been This Conversation Matters on Power 104.7, supporting the mission of the Minnesota chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists. Follow us on Instagram at NABJMN and me at Cherie Curry Media. And be sure to subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. Let's keep the conversation going.
Hey y'all, I'm Lizzie, and every week we take you beyond the story. An NABJ Minnesota program brought to you by All About the Culture in Power 104.7 FM. Beyond the Story introduces you to business owners, community leaders, and media professionals. Join us Tuesday evenings for Beyond the Story. Today we're talking with Jasmine McBride, Associate Editor at the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder, about her support of journalist Georgia Fort, who's facing federal charges for reporting about a protest in Minneapolis.
To your point about Georgia, I think it's a really interesting situation for me because this is a woman who opened the doors for me in terms of this career. And so I was faced with this very complex situation of fearing for my own safety, but feeling a sense of duty of showing up for my friend and for somebody who inspires me. And so I remember we had that press conference, at the Capitol, and I just was like, do I speak? Do I not speak? I remember I was not planning to speak, but then I was like, maybe I should say something, because I just really had to think about 10 years from now, what would have been the right choice? Like, not what I think is the right choice in this present moment, but after the emotions have kind of subsided and all the things that are presently happening, what decision would I be happiest with? And I felt like standing up for my friend was the right decision.
I'm Lizzie, and this has been Beyond the Story in partnership with This Conversation Matters.